Good morning. It is Saturday, October 27th. We're going to talk about Sandy today. And Sandy is quite an interesting system. It's got a lot of extratropical or non-tropical influences surrounding it, a lot of dry air. Normally we'd say, gee, the storm is weakening, but it's also got a central dense overcast near the center and to the northwest. Strongest winds are actually to the northwest of the center. Huge circulation, as you can see. And there's going to be an injection of what they call baroclinic energy, which is basically a fancy way of saying energy that's created due to changes in temperature, significant changes in temperature across the atmosphere horizontally. And that's this cold front coming in. There's cold air back here, obviously a lot of warm water, warm air in the Atlantic. And this is supposed to sort of inject into the system and strengthen it before it comes on shore. But meanwhile, maybe because of this strong convection, it's strengthening right now much more than we expected. Doesn't mean it's going to be stronger when it eventually hits, but obviously if you're starting at a higher point, that potential is certainly there. And the forecasts from the GFS and the European are more in agreement now, and they both show a really ugly picture for the mid-Atlantic states, particularly Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey is going to be really hard hit. Southern New England, Long Island, Pennsylvania, eastern Pennsylvania. So it's going to be really ugly there if this forecast verifies. So let's put this into motion. You'll see the last 12 hours or so. It's infrared initially. You can see the circulation right there and then the convection that really kind of blew up right to the northwest of the center, which is back opposite of what we normally expect. So this is a very unusual sort of hybrid type storm that's developing here. Before we get to the forecast models that show the surface pressures and winds, let's look at the upper atmosphere. And here's this large low pressure trough out here in the North America, and this is the sort of short wave that's coming into it. We're going to put this into motion. And there's a storm, and let's see, Monday, early morning Monday. And this, folks are wondering why this won't go out to sea. Well, look at this. This is a high pressure, and look at the winds around the high. This is not typical, but it does occur. So we have a combination of this big high up here saying anything that floats towards me, I'm pushing to the left. And then we have this energy coming into the system from the northwest, and that's what they're talking about, this thing gathering or gaining some strength near the end due to non-tropical influences or forces. So that comes in, it's sort of a double barrel. This is upper level, by the way. This is 500 millibars. There's that low that is feeding off of the warm Gulf Stream, also off of that baroclinic energy, as they say, and boom, it comes right on shore there. Now the European's a little further south. Let's take a look at what this looks like on the surface using both the European and the GFS. But before we do that, I just want to show you, these are the recon fixes on the center. Here, I can just tell you, since it's not obvious by looking at it, the pressure here was 972. As we go through the day, it's 971, 971, pretty steady, 969, starts to fall, 967, and the latest one is 957, although they're reporting 960. Maybe they're not sure where the center is because they've got a couple here, but around 957, 960 millibars. So it's strengthening as it goes northward, even though it's bringing in all that dry air and that high wind shear. And so it's definitely a system here possibly for the ages, and we'll see if that's how it ends up. They talk about storm of the century, Frankenstorm. Normally I laugh at those things, but I've never seen a forecast like this since I've been following weather for a long time. So the first one we're going to look at is a GFS. We're going to move it on out 24 hours. I don't want to minimize the influence along the coast here, North Carolina especially. But the real impact is further north. There's going to be a lot of problems in this area with riptides and possible beach erosion and strong winds. Could see gust up to even hurricane force. But these folks are sort of used to that. Up here they're not. So let's just, I jumped too fast, 48 hours, and I'll mention the pressure, 955 millibars. It looks like, gee, it's going on out to sea, but at 54, 55, 60 hours, it starts to make its move. So it's 953 millibars. That's really hard to read, but I think it's 950 millibars, strengthening as it comes into New York City, New Jersey, into eastern Pennsylvania, where I think it's going to be a real mess. And then it starts to weaken slowly and eventually just kind of spins itself out. This is over the course of the next week. So big impact, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, the areas I mentioned earlier. Now, the European model that's sort of predicted this a long time ago, 10 days ago, has a 24-hour position here, 63 millibars. There's 48 hours, and we're going to mention the winds here in a second, 954 millibars. Now, this gives the wind speed at 850 millibars, which is about, of course, in a storm it's lower, but let's just say it's about 4,000 to 5,000 feet up. To bring this down to the surface, you probably have to cut it back about 20-25%. They're saying winds of 100 knots, so 75 knots, we've got a 90-mile-per-hour storm here. Now, that's not the official forecast, but let's keep that in mind. 72 hours, they have it cutting sooner like they did yesterday. That pressure is 943.6, 944 millibars. Top winds now on the Jersey Shore at 850 millibars, 95 knots. So we'll reduce that down to 70 knots. You got 80 miles per hour, which is close to what the Hurricane Center was forecasting. They're a little bit below that. And then 96, it jumps up to 983 millibars, showing that this is still a tropical system with some aspects of non-tropical energy. And then it does the same thing as the GFS, kind of floats it off. So I'll just show this panel again. This occurs, it's a state of emergency. It's a real disaster. The southern Jersey Shore, where I used to go when I was a kid, is a real mess. Long Beach Island and as well, all of the Jersey Shore. I can mention Asbury Park, Atlantic City, you name it, all the way down. If it comes in a little bit further north, around New York City, it spares Jersey, but then the southern coast up here gets hit harder. So basically everywhere, I think, from Cape Cod, less impact there. And I don't want to lessen the impact north of there, but it really it would be like a winter storm, I think, in Maine. Everywhere from Massachusetts down through Connecticut, Long Island, New York City, New Jersey, down to Maryland and Delaware is the target zone. And let's go inland to Maryland, eastern Pennsylvania, some of New York, but Pennsylvania. And I mentioned how this could be a real story as far as getting everything up and running again for the election a week later. So that, I think, will be a story in addition to everything else that goes on. So I don't know how I can summarize it a whole lot more than that. I'll show the official Hurricane Center forecast. There's the official forecast, 75 miles per hour off here, 70 over Philly, obviously holding at least 75 to 80 miles per hour as it approaches southern Jersey coast. So they're going with more towards the European, but I'm sure some of the other hurricane models are bringing it in here. As far as impact, this is if we do a county summary report. Highest winds on the coast. These are possibly sustained winds. Inland, probably more like gust, but we've got hurricane force winds throughout a large area, and so you can just see the damage area that we're talking about here. Really all of this area, including DC. So that's really it for today. Storm of the Century discussion. I don't know if it's a storm of this century, but that's really it for today. So listen, you have a good Saturday. If you're up here, I'd get ready for early next week, Monday, Tuesday. Really, this is Monday night, so I'd get ready now, and hopefully it's not as intense as this. And that's our way out of this, is that the intensity does not go down to 944 millibars. As opposed to going out to sea. I don't see that happening, but maybe we can spread this out a little bit and not make it quite as bad. But these models are usually pretty good. So, again, you have a good weekend. We'll be back tomorrow with another update. Thanks.